The changelings are already here. You can find my latest book, Hey Stranger, A Changeling Chronicle, available now on Amazon in paperback and ebook format.
Captain. Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind.
Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Not a great plan.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hey there, we're those Sci-Fi guys, and this is that Those Sci-Fi Guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, but a whole lot of love for science fiction, the fun that comes with. We are your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, coming to you from, the glitch that is in the Matrix, apparently. So.
Yeah, that's about right.
A new system, folks. We're still trying to figure it out. Worked fine the last time. Didn't work this time. Don't know what to say. Anyway, DT, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a grind lately, so just trying to get to that and make sure we're all rowing in the same direction. You know, I got some further changes going on at work, and it just has a tendency to kind of pick up a little. And fortunately, this week is evening out. I've been dealing with some issues, with the personnel changes. So the good thing is that we're now finally having some solidity, and man, did we frickin' need it. It's driving me nuts.
Well, that's good. That's good. Things have been pretty busy over here at the McKay clan. Mack Jr. is going to be heading over to Houston for a big robotics competition for world championships, which is always a delight. I like the idea that the Central Valley can compete on a world stage, and they have. The team is a legacy of world championships before. They did win world championships 10 years ago, so they're in good pedigree right now. So we will not be going, but the Mack Jr. is excited on going, and it'll be his first big trip away from home without more than 2 days or so. He'll be gone for a week. He'll be coming back on Easter, but we've had to change our plans for spring break a little bit. He was supposed to be with us during next week, which this will probably air then. Or is it? Did I lose track of who? No. This will probably air during the week that we're gone. Anyway, so instead of going to, I know. Instead of going to Universal, we're going to go to Disneyland again. It just happens that way. So.
Oh my. Oh my.
Oh, that's not what I was.
Oh my.
Oh, damn it.
My.
You're in a decay loop.
I was in a decay loop.
Gotta be careful of those.
I know.
Phrasing?
Yeah. So, he'll be coming back Easter Sunday. It'll be like his first major holiday that he wakes up not with family and everything. So, but we're excited for him. I'm excited for him. This is a good age for him to be out on his own, halfway across the country. Just to try to figure out who he is and everything. That's a good age to do that. 14, 15 years old. and everything.
Yeah.
So, um,
Well, no, that's good. My kid does some of that um, in the scouting organization she's in. Camps and whatnot. There's adult supervision, but it's not familial.
right. And that's what I want. I don't want to be there to hold his hand through everything and whatnot. And, it'll be good. It's a good thing. It'll be hard for me. I'm actually going to have to drive back from LA on Sunday night after we see the Harry Potter play. And then drive
Okay.
back to LA Monday night, which is going to be awesome. So that I can see the Friends set and the Big Bang Theory set, which I will be sure to post on our community page on YouTube. Just FYI, everybody. So that'll be a fun little thing. And then we'll head to Disneyland and go from there. So, the happiest place on earth, which East Coast loves to say that Disney World is the real Disneyland, or the real Disney, as the East Coasters like to say. But it's Disneyland, everybody.
It's just bigger. That's all. Those of us who who only done the East Coast side, we know that it's bigger. We know that they still have room to grow. It was designed like that by Walt Disney to be able to expand a little more.
Oh yeah,
he pretty much bought like an entire region so he could do that. I mean, it is what it is. No one, I've never been to Disneyland, so I cannot judge. So I choose not to. All I know is from my experience, and I enjoy it.
I will say that as an East Coaster who grew up on the East Coast, that when I first went to Disneyland, we had an extra day of tickets left over from when we went to Disney World parks in 1998, and then I went to orientation for USC in 2000, and our tickets were still good. So my father and I brought 2 tickets with us, and then after orientation was done, we had a couple days to spare, so drove down to Anaheim, spent Saturday at Disneyland. This is before California Adventure opened. They were still doing construction and everything over there, but I could see like the Golden Gate Bridge that they originally had set up over there. I was a little disappointed with Disneyland at the time because the castle was half as tall as Sleeping Beauty's castle was. Wait, hold on. Which castle is in Disney World versus which is in Disneyland? I think it's Cinderella's castle in Disneyland, and then Disney World has Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, because Sleeping Beauty was in the 60s. That's right. So Sleeping Beauty's castle is in Disney World, and Disneyland, it's half the size. So I was a little disappointed by it, and it was packed to the gills. It was a Saturday in the middle of the summer. It was packed like Shanghai. Like, it was crazy. But we had a lot of fun. It was just me and my father, and it was a good memory because it was just us. We're grown adults basically at that point. So we just ran to all the fast pass rides that had all the fun stuff. And I learned to love Disneyland, and I've been to Disneyland. I can't even count how many times now. It's just such a wonderful treat.
Sure.
And it's the beginning of the whole Disney Corporation amusement park thing. So, I mean, there's a lot of history with it to appreciate.
So you have them mixed up. Cinderella's castle is the one at the Magic Kingdom and then Tokyo Disney.
Okay.
Sleeping Beauty's castle is Disneyland. And former Hong Kong Disneyland. So yes, you've got the reverse. That's
my
all.
fault. Thank you for checking that, though. That would have bugged me.
I always seem to recall when I would go to Disney World that it was called Cinderella's Castle. Now, of course, that could have also just been what people called it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all good. I wasn't going to lose any sleep over it, but I knew you would.
No. I would have, yes. So thank you for checking that out. So yeah, that's the stuff that's happening with the McKay clan, and all good stuff. Really looking forward to the next week and a half, and just got another couple days to get through work. So, but yeah, when you hear this, we're gonna be dark that week, but you'll still hear us this next week, and we'll pick up right where we left off. And don't worry, everybody. So just instead of two shows a week, it'll just be one. It's all right.
And it's all good, folks. My weekend plans might be shot by weather anyway, Mac. So
what were you gonna do again?
Oh, Mrs. Cavman won tickets to the AAA team for the Red Sox. So, they gave us a list of days where we could take these to go, and well, yeah, it's supposed to be rainy, so we don't know yet.
Lame.
Additionally, the funny thing about it is the art museum in our hometown, which is small. It's basically one kind of moderate-sized showroom that they have stuff in there, but they have a lot of little functions there. Probably. It's right across from what was the old post office and city hall.
Yep.
The whole government area. Anyway, they do a lot of neat little things there, and we've gone to see some things from time to time, but they usually have...
It was where Aaron Hernandez was tried for murder.
No, it wasn't. The courthouse is across from the library.
Oh, okay.
And that's just where he was arraigned.
My bad. You're right. Sorry. I interrupted you, and I apologize for that. I couldn't help myself because Aaron Hernandez. So anyway.
Anyway, they have little things, but they also had like benefit auctions, and there was a signed ball by at the time a guy who was one of my wife's favorite players on the team, and it also came with 4 tickets to the AAA team, and so we got it and we ordered, and then when we got the tickets, they were like, look, contact this number at the ballpark, and they'll coordinate which games are available. And so we actually picked one specifically, and that was like for May or May games. Well, the one we picked was, the reason why we picked it is they were going to play the AAA team that was in the town in Ohio that we lived in, which stupidly we never went to, but it always seemed like when the Sox AAA team was in town, it was midweek, so that was never really good for anybody. But we just figured, it'd be kind of neat, a little fun, and if it's there, we'll send some pictures back to our friends in Ohio still.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's a nice idea.
Yeah, I thought so.
But it might be raining it out.
Maybe, yeah. I hope not. The last time we won or were awarded tickets, we were awarded tickets through my company to the Red Sox, and it was going to be in like the club seat area. So me, my wife, my daughter, and my sister all go to this 4:00 game on Saturday, and it poured all day. And we were like, it's supposed to break around just before game time, and it didn't. It kept pouring.
No, of course not.
So they had to schedule for the next day. My sister couldn't get another sitter, so we ate the ticket. But the next day was a decent enough game and decent enough weather, and the Sox actually swept the doubleheader, which was kind of neat.
Nice. Well, very good.
Yeah, so we'll see if it's rainy or not. Hopefully not. If not, then we will hunker down in our home and watch the new Netflix documentary that followed the Red Sox all last year.
What? Oh, yeah. Kind of like
Clubhouse.
Yeah, it's similar to what HBO does with the NFL
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks, yeah, right?
Yeah, but that's usually like they either did it during training camp or they had a couple of in-season ones. But this is literally from spring training all the way through the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the first time anybody's done that with a professional baseball team. And the Red Sox, they were kind of up and down last year. They did finish with a better record than they had in the previous 2 years at 500 even, which was better than they had the previous 2 years. And this team was a little bit more fun to watch. It just struggled at stretches in the season with pitching and not enough offense at times. So, but when we went to Fenway Fest, which is basically Red Sox Comic Con, I've been to Red Sox Con and Patriots Con this year. It's kind of funny. But they showed a sneak peek, like 20 minutes of this video, and it was they had these pouches that you had to hand your cell phone in, and they put it in there and they locked it with like an electronic lock, and you couldn't open the pouch when you were in watching this documentary or watching the clips of the documentary. And then a couple of the players and coaches and the filmmaker came out and talked a bit about it. And then they let you go. And as you walk out, you got to walk by this station where they electronically unlock the phone. But it was really neat technology. It was cool though, and so I'm looking forward to watching it.
All right. Well, very good. And you were there for parts of it. Well, for the sneak peeks and everything. So that's good. That's fun. I always like seeing things like that behind the scenes and whatnot. So, or you're like given a sneak peek that the rest of the public doesn't know about yet.
Yeah, it was kind of neat. It was like my first like sneak peek. I mean, I did get at one point a buddy of mine had got like tickets to like an early screening of I think it was Spider-Man 3. We were down in Kentucky. He somehow like got it was like I don't know a week. It was like 2 weeks before it was before it got released or something. So it was just a random special advance screening in Louisville, and he got tickets. So a bunch of semi sober the officers going to see a superhero movie together. It was like 5 or 6 of us. It was fun. We had dinner,
Nice.
drinks, the movie. It was just a way to kill time.
Yeah, definitely. Good times. Good times.
Well, one other quick random thing, real quick.
Yeah, please.
We're
Please
on the
do.
topic. So, in addition to that, the Red Sox documentary, Max for the last the last month, and I think it goes until maybe next week or the week after. Max has been running a documentary that's called Celtic City, and it's literally basically the history of the Boston Celtics from the late 1940s when they came into existence all the way up to when they won the championship last year.
Huh. Really? And this, for the first time in 13 years, I don't own Mac. I don't pay for Max now. Damn it.
My kid who has really expressed a lot of interest in basketball, particularly Celtics basketball, she decided she wanted to watch this. So we've watched the first 4 episodes, and episode 4 kind of ends as they're transitioning into the Bird Magic era. Like episode 4 covered the transition into the early 80s when the Celtics drafted Bird and McHale and traded for Parrish and started to put together a team, but they hadn't yet got to the heated rivalry of the Celtics-Lakers that spanned the mid-80s.
Interesting. Okay, so God, that's a good part of the whole thing too.
Yeah.
Growing up, I didn't realize how much of a rivalry there was between the Lakers and the Celtics when it came to all that. And the Celtics were the winningest franchise during the 80s, right? 70s and 80s.
They're the winningest franchise of all time in the NBA.
Oh, no, that's not what I was asking. But okay, cool. That's good to know.
them and the Lakers went back and forth. I know we won 3. I think the Lakers either won 3 or 4. So it was like if we weren't, we were tied. So
Okay, so yeah, the winningest franchise in the Celtics, going back and forth with the Lakers, and even if the Lakers won 3 or 4 of the 7, it was still the Celtics that were the winningest franchise ever.
they are, yes.
Yeah.
The Celtics, when they won last year for banner 18, retook the lead for winningest franchise. That being said, the Celtics won 11 titles in 13 years between the late 50s and the early 70s.
11
They only-
titles in 13 years. Damn.
Yep.
You're never going to
Yeah.
see something like that again.
No,
That's impossible.
And you think the Patriots winning 6 in 20 is pretty wild?
Well, they played. To be fair, they played for 9 in 20
They
years.
did play in
so
9.
it was basically almost an every other year scenario.
Yeah. Tom Brady played in 10 Super Bowls and won fucking 7 in his 22 or 23 year career. That's insane.
Yeah.
And somebody made it. I saw it was like Tom Brady's the career percentage of him going to the Super Bowl is roughly equal to like Steph Curry's 3-pointer percentage. It's like 45% or something like that.
Really?
It's like, yeah,
That's insane. I mean, yeah, considering how the vast majority of NFL players will never experience a Super Bowl ever, never mind winning one. Ever. It's just that's crazy. 45% scenario. Are you texting me something? What's going on?
No, I was looking something up but it's taking too long. So it was just kind of interesting. That's all. Kind of
That's
a
very
Boston
interesting.
sports stress. Right now there's 2 huge documentaries which are both very were long awaited and very popular right now on those platforms, and they're both Boston sports franchises. So I think that's fascinating.
Nice. I like that. Well, that being said, anything else you want to add before we get into our main topic?
No, I think we're good.
So I'm just gonna do this the way it's supposed to be done. God, I love being a turtle! So what are we here to talk about today, DT? Even though we just got on page yesterday, last night, maybe 10 o'clock your time, when it was what we were watching.
We're here to talk about the Ninja Turtles live action movies.
But only one of them.
I've only watched one of them, but as I was walking around today, I'm like, God, I have a lot of recall about the first movie because as I was watching
do the second one. Let's just do the second one.
Shh. Stop it. Yes, but as I was watching around, because there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. The difference between the first movie and the second movie was very different. Like the second movie was a lot more like the cartoons, and the first movie was a lot more like some of the early comic books.
Yes.
In theme. Number 1 was a much was a darker movie. I don't know if I wouldn't say much darker. I would say that number 2,
it was pretty dark.
The Secret of the
first one
Ooze,
was exceedingly dark.
Yeah, there was like murder.
There was murder. There was mass beatings and crime. The first one,
and of course,
exceedingly dark.
Lots of weapon use.
And it showed New York in a way that I knew how New York was supposed to be portrayed in the late 80s, which was
gritty,
don't go to New York.
Grimy. Yeah,
just
gritty,
don't go.
grimy, no winning Yankees. It was
wet. Gritty, grimy,
it was always
wet.
Wet.
Just don't.
It was always wet.
Always wet.
Seattle wasn't that wet.
Yes. But yes, you're right. The second one, please continue.
The second one, which I did learn later, was really lightened up, and the turtles almost never used their weapons. Like they always used other things around them.
Yes.
They showed up in that initial scene with their weapons, and then like you almost never saw their weapons again. They always used everything else around them, except for maybe Donatello's staff. That was like the only one that ever got real use. Why?
It was
Because it was a
Leonardo.
stick.
Yeah, it was Leonardo and Donatello who used their weapons in a fighting moment strictly, and then and that was it. And then
Michelangelo used
Jackie
the
Chan
sausages.
thing. Yeah, well, they did the Jackie Chan thing where you use the environment around you. So even though Jackie Chan wasn't well known in America at the time, but that's the joke. So run with it, everyone. No, it was fine. How do we go about this? There's so much to say about this movie, The Secret of the Ooze.
Let's just talk about kind of what it is and why I used the first one as a pivot point, right? So The Secret of the Ooze was super popular. Okay. It was like one of the long-awaited sequels when it came out, because the first movie was really popular. And like this was the movie like everybody wanted to go to, all the commercials. It was so much product placement in it. There was or product placement for it. It was everywhere. And of course, it was in the movie theaters for like 2 months, and then it was out on VHS within a month after it left the theater. It was that fast. It was that requested. You couldn't find it on the shelves and
I remember it came
video
out in
rental
March,
stores.
and then in the summer it was out on VHS real quick. You never saw
Right.
that happen.
The only reason we saw it is because it was either you or your next door neighbors who got like an advanced screening copy or something.
Oh, my mother took me to the movie theater.
No. We saw the movies. I'm saying the VHS copy. I want to say your next door neighbor got it because they sometimes got stuff, because they ran
before everyone else.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You're. I wouldn't be surprised if they got it first. We got it pretty soon after, but yeah, you are correct, and it was an opportunity to see the movie again and again and again.
Well, we watched it ad nauseum, and it's so much so that the commercials for it, not the previews, but the commercials for it became iconic. The Pizza Hut commercial, the Little League Pizza Hut commercial.
Oh my God! Yeah, I
sent
that to you, didn't I?
You did, and I knew exactly, and that's why I thought you meant we were going to watch Turtles too.
Oh my God! Can I? All right, let me find that. Let me find that Pizza Hut commercial, because that is amazing. That is an amazing thing. My system looks like it's about to just die right now. Shoot, can you find it and share it?
Yeah. Let's have a look-see.
All right, so because this goes back to a time in the 80s/90s where you bought not a DVD, my goodness. You bought a VHS, and they would have prepackaged advertisements at the beginning for the first 5 to 10 minutes or so. And then the movie would come in, and people who bought Disney VHSs are like, they would show like 10 to 15 minutes of coming soon to Disney VHS or to home theaters,
And they might give you one theatrical release that's coming soon too.
Right. Yeah, and you'd have a nice little snapshot in time of what that was. Goodness gracious. Man.
All right, I got it, buddy. Stand by.
You got it. All right, send me the link. No, share it. You share it, and I'll put it up. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it.
I got it. Stand by.
I am. I'm just so eager. I'm so excited.
Like the wolf. And there's a classic cheesy baseball song that goes with this one too.
It's so wonderful though.
Peter, Paul, and
There we
Mary.
go. All right. Pause it and rewind it real fast because I can see it.
What's going on, man?
I'm just gonna add it, but you need to pause it and rewind it real fast. Oh, hold on. Need to remove that. Now, hey, look, new techniques, guys. Here we go.
Okay. Next time, make sure you're set up before you tell me to start. Okay, we good? Good. Great.
Yeah, we're good.
Off in the distance, the game's dragging on.
It's almost
There's
John Denver.
strikes on the batter, some runners are on. But suddenly everyone's looking at me. My mind has been wondering what could it be. They point to the sky and I look up above, and a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important you know. You gotta know how to catch. You gotta know how to throw. That's why I play in right field, way out where the dandelions grow.
As a proud sponsor of Little League Baseball, Pizza Hut welcomes all the kids who make it great.
Making it great.
Making it great. By the way, we are sponsored by Pizza Hut, everybody. So just FYI.
The problem is we're actually
those
sponsored
Sci-Fi
by
guys as the
1990s
code.
pizza.
Just put in those Sci-Fi guys as the code when you order online.
Come on,
It'll be
man,
great.
Don't do that.
No, what? It'll be fine. Don't get unnecessarily mad when I make a joke. Everyone understands the context. Seriously. Anyway,
No, because
wonderful commercial.
Have people.
Oh, stop it! Stop it! Stop it! If we wouldn't do a sponsorship like that. So
You mean with a 25-year-old commercial?
Exactly my point. Context is everything.
Oh
Good
my God,
Lord.
that was a great commercial.
A really good one.
That was Right Field by Peter, Paul, and Mary. It's definitely a song about a kid in Little League, and right field was always the place where you put the worst fielder.
I played it.
Usually, because there weren't a ton of lefties, and not a lot of people were poking it deep into right field.
Nope.
So, I'd spent more than a few times in right field as I was coming up. Got better.
Mm-hmm.
Got put in other positions, but and that is, it's like, oh shit.
Oh, something's coming my way. Oh no. So
yeah. I just remember, because we've watched that video so many times, that commercial was always on it.
Yeah, on the original first movie, the live action movie.
Second movie.
Was it on the second one?
Yeah, that was on Turtles 2. Yeah,
Turtles 2 was 1991.
That was used on the Turtles 2.
I'll go with it. That's fine.
Yep. That's one of the things that get clicked in. It was on the Turtles 2 video release. I almost wish that if you buy the Turtles 2 on DVD, if it came,
it would be there.
It was just so iconic, and of course this was the late 80s, early 90s, and Little League was one of the biggest kids sports still at the time, and we all played, and it kind of just struck a chord with a bunch of 10 to 12-year-olds who liked eating pizza and liked Ninja Turtles and liked and ended up playing baseball.
Or as neighborhood kids like us, we would either go out for brunch or breakfast before football or baseball, or go out to dinner after baseball or basketball or something like that as a team. It hit home. Let's just be honest. The 80s and the 90s were peak civilization. Really was. Not
It's
peak
starting to
technology,
feel like it now.
Yeah, it is. It does feel like peak civilization. And even my son is looking at it going, I'm kind of envious of you, Dad. So,
by the way, did you see if you watched the video, the catcher is in that is Goldberg from the
it was from the Mighty Ducks.
from Mighty Ducks.
Yeah. Good stuff. By the way, he turned his life around really well. He should be commended. So.
Oh yeah, because there was all those pictures of him looking like all methed out and shit, and looking like sick, looking like 75 and meth.
Yeah, poor guy. He got into the wrong stuff, but he's turning his life around, and our thoughts are out for him, and hoping that he keeps going on the straight and narrow.
Yeah,
so,
whereas
not an easy path. So
yeah, I know, right? That's good. He struggled, and then the kid who played Fuller is Foggy Nelson.
Oh yeah.
He just looks so much bigger than those kids. Now he's like, I guess he stopped growing young.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it happens. So anyway, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. I did not see this movie in the theater. I saw it in your living room. Did you guys see it in the theater?
Yeah,
I remember this is a very hyped blockbuster rental that I remember hearing that you guys got, and I don't know if I invited myself over or not, but I was sitting on your couch going, "This is going to happen. This is great. This is going to be a fun moment."
It was definitely one of those ones that you had to like go in and like request, because it was so out of stock that you had to like go in and like put an order.
Right.
So it did come
someone in the neighborhood had that video. You had to send out word. We got it. If you want to watch it, we're going to play it at this time. So
yeah,
all the neighborhood kids would descend onto that one house, and that was what happened. My brother and me, and I don't know if a couple other people, but yeah,
I think so.
I remember it was a thing. Your father retreated from the room after he got
he'd already seen
movie
it
rolling. I know he had seen it, but he retreated from the room pretty quickly. Like, I'm not interested in this. It's fine.
I think my parents took us to see it. Like,
yeah,
I think me and maybe my sister. I think just like, all right, we're gonna go see this movie.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with the plot. It's very simple. And I want to talk about the plot a little bit.
The Foot Clan Strikes Back.
Takes. Yeah, so do what you do. Make it 5 minutes if you can, and then we'll talk about story points, if you don't mind.
Right, hold on. Oh, geez, it was Secret of the Ooze, the Wrath of Ooze.
Oh my God. Con Shredder.
So, yeah, that did have a Shredder moment, but it wasn't quite as bad. By the way, Corey Feldman did not return for this as the voice of Donatello.
Yeah. It was speaking of addiction. He was in the throes of it at that time.
Yeah, wasn't he in rehab or something?
Yeah, he was dealing with rehab. Okay, funny story. The second movie came out less than a year. No. Rehab's never a funny story. I'm not trying to lighten that up. But
you got to work on your segues, bud.
I know. I understand. So the interesting thing of technically talking about the first movie and the second movie is they came out less than a year apart. The first movie was an extraordinary success, and they already anticipated that it would be in some form or another. They didn't expect it to be that successful. It had a budget of $13.5 million, the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It made $135 million worldwide. This is in 1990 money. Okay.
Yeah.
huge return on money. But they had already greenlit a second movie following the first production before the first movie came out. And because they were afraid that the franchise would burn out too quickly. So, okay, cool. And so the second movie was retooled a little bit to kind of, play with the parents, complaints about the first one, about it being too violent and everything. We already talked about that. And then it came
Yes.
out a week before the first anniversary of the first release. So, but it felt like an eternity to me because I was
Well, it's because we were
10.
10.
Yeah. So, and then the third movie came out 2 years later, which felt like 5 years later, and it felt completely irrelevant to have. I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Well, did they have the same April between 2 and 3? I can't remember.
Yes, the same April from 2 was in 3.
And look, I
And they
like
brought
Paige
back
Turco,
Casey Jones.
but I really preferred Judith Hoag's April. She was tougher.
You and I can respectfully disagree. I like Paige Turco better as April, only because her hair matched how I thought of April a little bit better. And she
Well,
had a
it
better
wasn't red.
personality in my personal opinion. Not to knock the first actress in any way, shape, or form. Trust me, she didn't do anything wrong. She was very effective in the first movie.
Yeah.
Exceedingly effective.
That being said, so do you want me to do a rundown?
Real quick, do a 5-minute.
All right.
I'm going to be back.
This is probably within months of the first movie, right? Not too hard. The movie wasn't even a full year. But following the events of the first movie, of course, they introduce you to this kid Keno, Ernie Reyes Jr. He's a pizza delivery guy who witnessed. And by the way, the opening scene is literally everybody in New York eating pizza. That's it. Handsome cab drivers, yellow cab drivers, people on the street, a dude and his date making out and then diving into slices of pizza. So it's literally like a commercial for pizza. Not anything specific, but just pizza for like a 2-minute straight scene of everybody in New York eating pizza. Mind you, it might be one of the top 5 opening scenes in a movie in history. But then you go immediately, and this kid is like getting ready to deliver this pizza. And it's like the pizza is going to be delivered over to April's because she always orders a lot of pizza. Because surprise, surprise, the turtles are living with her. But he notices a bunch of dudes like stealing things from this like underground department store, and so he runs down to see what's going on, and then he's like, "Oh, stop! You're under arrest!" And then it's like it's like 3 dudes wearing pantyhose over their heads, and then like they try to fight him, and he's using martial arts, and he kicks these dudes' ass, and then all of a sudden like 12 more guys show up, and he's like, "Ah, crap!" And as he's about ready to get his ass whooped, then here comes the Ninja Turtles leaping out. No disguises, no costumes, just right out in this big hero shot of the 4 of them leaping up in the air with their weapons out. Their comic accurate weapons, which you almost never see again. Even though they're in this movie, in this scene, they don't really use them. And then they proceed to kick all these thugs' ass. I think it's Raphael who like throws Keno in a sheet and like dumps him in a trash can to keep him safe. And then they brawl it out with these Foot Clan guys, but they're doing it in the most comedic way possible, like because they're brawling through a toy store. And what I will notice is that despite the fact that there's like literally like 25 people getting into this brawl, there's like almost no destruction of property. Very rare in a comic book superhero kind of movie. Usually there's a lot of property damage, but despite the fact that the turtles use various items around them as weapons, not so much their weapons. Like Donatello uses his bow staff a couple of times. The only time Leonardo uses his katana is to throw him into the ceiling, lift himself up so a bunch of dudes run under and crash into each other. And that's about it. Michelangelo doesn't use his nunchucks, but he does get thrown into this pizza or into this little restaurant stuff where he then grabs a bunch of links of sausage and starts using them like nunchucks and beats these guys with links of sausage. But they like beat these guys' asses. Donatello's using like a Nerf bat to like beat guys up, and then they tie him up, and then they take the pizza from Kino. They leave him money, and then they take off, and they're like, "Hey, you call the cops." The cops show up, they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And the turtles are up in there. Back in April's, chowing down on pizza. Real great, kind of fun, very silly, and the turtles are way more cartoonish as we go through this. But the four turtles and Splinter are kind of staying with April because they haven't looked. They haven't found a new place since their sewer lair was trashed by the Foot Clan. So they're trying to think about what's going on. Splinter comes down and is like cautioning everybody about, being, staying in the shadows and staying hidden from the human world. And then they're all shocked. It's like, we can't do anything with the human world. What about pizza? And Splinter thinks for a half a second. It's like, yeah, pizza's fine. So like, oh, thank God. No, otherwise, the turtles would have all died right there, and the movie would have ended. But clearly they're showing that this is like, I don't know, maybe weeks, days even after the Shredder's defeat. Not entirely. It looks probably like days, to be honest with you. So remnants of the Foot Clan kind of gather in this junkyard, and Tatsu decides he's going to like take over, and
you have 2 minutes left.
Sorry, the intro kind of required a lot of in depth for this. So
I got a little snippet of the intro to share. By the way, okay.
Anyway, Shredder has reappeared and shocks everybody. They don't show his face.
Shredder,
whatever. Yeah,
like, the nice little Bronx accent.
Who gets
the Shredder?
I will. Oh shit. Our bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, April then goes out to interview David Warner, aka Professor Perry, at this place called TGRI, which is possibly responsible for a toxic waste leak. He's like, "Oh no, everything's fine. Everything's been cleaned up. There's no leak down here. No need to send anybody down.
We're fine. How are you?"
Yeah, Han Solo from the Death Star. But somebody discovers like this giant mutated dandelion, and then it turns out April's new cameraman, this kind of proto yuppie bro douche, goes named Freddy, and it turns out he's a spy for the Foot Clan. And why is he a spy? Because they know that April's friends with the turtles, so that's why. And then
by the way, smart storytelling. Because she wouldn't lose her link with them, and yeah.
No, it was actually a solid play by a actually relatively inept organization many times.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's go ahead and try to recruit every martial arts student in all of New York, and that's not going to look suspicious at all, especially in 1990.
No, when martial artists. Our arts were just all the rage,
Right. So Splinter, they see April's interview. They all start talking about it. Splinter's like, "All right, it's time I tell you more about the ooze." And then he pulls out this container that it was in, which was very conveniently glass in the middle, yet somehow perfectly broken apart and not stabbed or broke further in the intervening 15 years. But he puts it together and it says TGRI on it. They're like, "Oh shit, these are the guys who oozed us, and that's why we're this way." So they try to go find this guy, but the Foot had already kidnapped him and are trying to get the last canister of ooze. There's a fight over the ooze, but the turtles can't get it back. Kino kind of knows something's up with April and the turtles, figures them out because apparently once you see the turtles, you automatically know April's there or they're there with April. So, he kind of becomes friends with the turtles. He wants to go infiltrate the Foot Clan. Raphael's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And everybody else is like, no, let's go find a new place to live and stop crowding April. She wants shit to do, right? Meanwhile, the Shredder wants to, fight fire with fire against, the turtles there. And he's like, I got this ooze that made the turtles, so you're going to make something ferocious. And Perry's like, I think it's a bad idea. And since Shredder doesn't have his giant razor claws on his fist anymore, he's just, talking down to him. So they find a snapping turtle and a wolf. And throw it in there to make to make Toka and Razar, because apparently Bebop and Rocksteady would have been too hard to hide a rhinoceros in this.
Because the original directors didn't want to follow the suit of the cartoon. And the new directors were like,
a rhinoceros would be hard to hide.
Well, yes, that too. And they were like, we agree, but we still want to get closer to the spirit of the cartoon, is what the new directors were like. So, yeah.
The spirit, this was definitely more cartoony.
Yes, super cartoony.
Yeah. So the turtles look for a new home. Raphael and Leonardo continue to butt heads. So Raphael's like, screw this. Screw you guys. I'm going somewhere else. And he walks off.
I'm going rogue.
Meanwhile, the turtles find an abandoned subway station, like long abandoned from like the 1930s or 40s or something like that. And they're like, oh, it's perfect. And so immediately they turn that into their home. Raphael and Kino infiltrate the Foot Clan. And the infiltration lasts like literally 2 minutes. Like, as soon as Raphael sees the Shredders alive, he's like, you got to go warn the others. And then they kind of try to fight their way out.
He doesn't know that Shredder's there until he gets captured.
Well, Raphael sees something that makes him
He sees what he thinks is a ghost.
Right.
But he's like, I saw a ghost. And then he got captured, and then Shredder shows up and goes, oh, Shredder! That was what I was alluding to earlier.
Yeah, I know. But it's like, dude, you saw him. I mean, I know you think it's a ghost, but when you're confirmed, you're like, oh, I thought it was you. That would have been
1980 storytelling. I mean, I know it came out in 91, but still, it's 1980 style storytelling. So
they're like, oh shit. Kino comes back, warns them. Splinter, of course, is like, Kino, you're going to stay and meditate with me while everybody else goes out and fight. And he's like, okay, for about 5 minutes.
No, this is not your fight. Notice how I don't have the accent. Fighting. I don't have the accent. I just have the inflection. No, this is not your fight.
The other three turtles infiltrate. They knock out a couple of guards quickly. They're like, everything about this is way too easy. And Michelangelo was like, that's a little too Raphael.
Yeah.
And of course, he can't warn them that it's a trap. And then they're like, oh, shit, it's a trap. And so they're about ready to get caught in a net a la Return of the Jedi style. They're about ready to be dropped on this, I don't know, pit of spikes or something like that, or, Ginsu knives or something, before Shredder shoots them down with an arrow, and then he promptly disappears because, that's about all they could do with him, apparently.
Yep.
But he does constantly show up and save their ass when they need it most.
True.
Shredder releases Toka and Razar. The turtles try to fight him in comedically bad ways. It doesn't work. So they make a fast escape down a sewer because, sewers, turtles. That's their thing.
That's what they do.
And then
they bring the professor.
They did find. Yeah, Donatello did find the professor. This Donatello, a little stranger than the previous one. It's like
a little bit more intellectual.
He's a little more intellectual, but way dorkier. The other one was a little more sarcastic.
Yeah, I would agree. And I feel it's more in tune with what the cartoon was and everything. This is seen a little ahead of the time we're talking about. But Toka
right.
and Razar, So right here. So
Yeah, they can't follow them because they're too big to get down the
yeah.
doors. And then they
And
managed to
good
convince.
storytelling, by the way. Like the turtles were able to get away, and Toka, the snapping turtle, jumps in and gets stuck, preventing the foot from being able to get in. So
Yep.
gives them time. Good storytelling. Like that's
Yeah.
how they were able to get away. Like brilliant. Like
They literally
simple.
plugged
It's
a
not
potential plot
hard.
hole.
It's really not hard. Like
Yeah. Anyway, you get the turtles, talking with what's their name, with the professor. They're trying to dig deeper into the ooze, and he kind of lets on that he kind of adulterated the formula on Toka and Razar, so they won't mature as intellectually, but they are still big and strong. And Shredder lets them loose in the neighborhood. They cause damage. Freddy contacts April to let him know that Shredder's going to release Toka and Razar in Central Park if they don't show up for a big brawl. So they're like, "Oh, well, we've got to do it." Well, it's a trap. Of course, it's a trap, but we've got to do it. But they make an anti or like a mutagen it's going to deactivate an anti-mutagen, and they're like, "Well, it's got to be ingested." Oh, poo! So they freeze them and put them in donuts and manage to convince people that there's a ritual of a pre-fight donut. And then all these Foot Clan dudes and Shredder are all standing around like, "Yeah, this is totally normal. We're not. They're not even young. Get on with the fight." Or, "Hey, this something seems weird about this." But they do eventually discover that there's shit in the donuts, and fight breaks out. Doesn't go well for the turtles at first, but they use their brains and they outsmart Toka and Razar. Knock them over and they jump on them. Screw you. And then we just blast down the. They have to use, I don't know, what was it? Smoke, fire extinguishers to have the compressed CO2 activated.
Okay, so
science stuff. Stop talking. I'm almost done. And in the middle of a Vanilla Ice concert, they beat all the Foot Clan. Shredder tries to, get all up in their face, but they blow him away with, of course, the big weapon at the time, a ginormous speaker. And then he drinks a bunch of ooze, tries to fight the turtles, and then collapses shit on himself. And that's the end of Shredder.
And we go.
We're not sure. They kind of leave it, but you never know. Anyway, they jump in the water to avoid being crushed. And then, in a strange thing, a note from Professor Perry thanking the turtles by name is announced over the TV by April, in which Shredder's like, "These fucking morons." If it was an R movie, he would have said that. He just goes, "Idiots." And then they return home.
I've got the
Cowabunga.
As he confronts them. Hold on. No, well, don't hold on. No, explain to them.
There's the Bart Simpson.
Yeah,
glass.
there's the Bart Simpson glass, and then when they come home,
don't have a cow,
they
man.
come see Splinter, and they see this. Were you seen? No,
completely Jerry Ninja.
we followed the ninja ways. And boom, he shows that Daily News newspaper, and just wonderful. It's just fantastic. And then at the end, he goes, "I made a funny." Again. What was the joke that he said? Practice harder. And then he goes,
made a funny at the end of the first movie. That's what it was. He made a joke at the end of the
second movie. He says, "Practice harder," as he points to the newspaper, and he goes, "Go ninja, go!" And he laughs. And he goes, "I made another funny." So that's how the second movie. I'm being a little loud, but anyway,
they ended both movies with Splinter making some cheesy dad joke.
Yeah, but he is a dad, and it's good. It's a good thing.
Man, he really looks like a Muppet that was out of Dark Crystal, doesn't he?
Or out of the Storytellers series. Have you seen the Storyteller series? They are scary.
I've seen parts of
hell.
I've seen some
of
them,
yeah. This is during the Henson Dark phase. I would argue. Like between 85 and 1992 or 93, that was the Henson dark phase. They just made creepy things.
Like, I guess that's just your opinion, man.
I'm just saying. Goodness, I'm going to remove this one now. So that being said, what did you think of the movie? Like, we've got 35 years of retrospective on this, and a whole lot of knowledge in between now and then. So, what was your initial impression watching this? I texted you
last
when
night.
You showed me that
as I was watching it, it was.
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, this is really cheesy." Especially like first fight.
Did you feel that way?
Well, they broke in and they had all their weapons, and then they never used them. And I remember reading somewhere or watching a video somewhere that talked about how parents groups didn't like how dark and violent the first one was, so they had to cheese it up. Like even in the Ninja Turtles cartoon, they really, like, later seasons, Michelangelo used nunchucks less. I'm like, really? The nunchuck, that's your thing, not the sharp swords? No,
I don't know. Nunchucks are a weird thing in the law right now. Like,
well, that's because
even in the comics,
everybody
he's not allowed
wanted
to have
use
nunchucks now.
Yeah, but the kids always wanted to have the nunchucks, and I'm sure they like brained themselves or others, even with things they were turning into nunchucks.
I guess, yeah.
That's my only thing right there, right? So I mean, having the distance of age, and also remembering, I had all the turtle action figures. I watched the cartoons, and of course, in the cartoons, the Foot Clan bad guys were robots, right? They're all like androids, so you could slice. Leonardo was constantly slicing them in half, right? You could use these real dangerous weapons. Because
that's what George Lucas did in the prequels with the lightsabers, because you could slice robots in half without any worry. But then when you see Ahsoka and you see Ezra using a lightsaber to slice a stormtrooper, you don't see them fall apart in half. You just see them like you see a sparks blast and then they fall down.
No, you're allowed to dismember like 5 people in a Star Wars movie, but they all have to be relatively recognizable villains. You can't just slice and dice any rando. It's not really allowed. At least until Anakin's rampage at the end of the movie. He's just like slicing and dicing all these separatists.
And
of course,
movie
then
was
they're all still
PG-13.
Right. But of course, very few of them were all fully dismembered. They all had like slash marks and stuff.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. All right. And then they're going to start singing "Oh, Sweet Child of Mine." Gotcha. So,
hey, look, man, if you just got to remember, when Obi-Wan cut Darth Maul in half, there is literally a spray of blood that goes up. There is a red mist.
Yeah, there is a red mist. Yes.
And I'm like, oh, but realism. Holy shit.
All right. So that being said, what was my original motion? What was the question?
The original question was, I mean, you asked what my thoughts were, and I said it's cheesy.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I mean, it's not I didn't like it, right? It was noticeably more cartoony, right, than the first one. The first one was kind of gritty at times. I mean, you had an
super
entire,
gritty.
Like,
not kinda.
You had like 15 minutes of the movie where Raphael was basically in a coma.
And he got beaten the crap out of for another 10 minutes before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like, and the Foot were competent foot soldiers. Like, they got the best of Raphael despite his skill set in there.
Yes.
So,
well, I mean, he was also highly outnumbered. And of course, Casey Jones got his ass handed to him,
Yeah.
And then the turtles fighting 4 turtles fighting the fighting Shredder with a sharpened double end bow staff. And they were getting their asses whooped. and
Yeah.
Leonardo nearly got killed before, Splinter shows up, and literally he like falls into a rear load trash can, and Casey Jones hits the button like, casual
Oops.
murder. Oops.
Yeah.
And you see the helmet get crushed, and you're like, look, dude, I've periodically worked with dudes who drive the rear load Packers. Those things crush with tons of force, like literal tons of force.
Oh yeah, yeah. You shouldn't play with that.
But apparently, there must have been a lot of garbage around him because it just packed him into the pack, and he must have been freshly dumped. Like, by the way, who's also using trash trucks in the middle of the night and then leaving them parked on the city street in New York?
I mean, whatever. So
There's a lot of random things going on at night in New York in these, and it's not
And-
the random traffic that you see, but
and there are a lot of abandoned streets in the middle of New York at night, which I find highly unlikely. So, but that being said, can I give my impressions on a few things?
sure.
Okay. So, this is definitely a kids movie. The first movie
Yes.
was not. It was meant for the mature Ninja Turtles fan, and kids were involved, and that's fine. It was still very popular. I wasn't traumatized by that. I was shocked by the darkness of the first movie.
You think that's dark? You should read the novelization.
I'm sure, because the comics are pretty darn dark too. So, and that's what the movies were originally based on. They're not based on the cartoon, which, interestingly enough, for some reason, the producers were like, we're going to take the cartoon title and use that for this movie, even though this movie has nothing to do with the cartoon in any way, shape, or form. Okay, fine. By the way, best idea ever that they made it super ground level and super realistic. No aliens, no androids holding like aliens in their bodies or anything like that. That was the best idea that they had. Like, great, good stuff. The second movie,
no, I feel you.
as a kid, I enjoyed it immensely. And then when I found out later, and by the way, this is the subtlety of the choreography. I found out later that the producers were like, oh yeah, we did a great job of trying to make it so that the turtles could fight the foot, but not use any of their weapons. And I'm like, oh, hey, why do they have the weapons in the first place? What the hell? I didn't notice it the first or second time that I saw the movie. I only noticed it once it was pointed out to me. They were good fighters, though. So,
Yes,
I will give my hat off to that. My biggest gripe, DT, what do you think my biggest gripe is nowadays? I'm not going to have you answer it. I'm just going to tell you. It is bad writing. Right?
Yes.
What was my big thing with Brave New World? It was, why is Japan fighting over Celestial Island? Why is the leader suddenly appearing at this base? Like, it doesn't make any sense. He doesn't have any resources to be able to appear here. Nothing. None of this makes sense. Everything made sense in The Secret of the Ooze. The storytelling was for children, but the storytelling worked. It was well
I'm not
said.
gonna lie.
It had a beginning, middle, and end, and it also explored the characters a little bit. Donatello was more intelligent, and he spoke with the professor, and they talked about how I interrupted you when you were doing the plot, but the explanation of when they were trying to regress the mutants, Toka and Razar, The burping of the CO2 is retarding the anti-mutagenic reaction. And
Yes.
then they use the fire extinguisher to introduce more carbon dioxide into both of those entities. And that's a very smart solution. Very smart. Like, they used big words, but it was still a simple solution. And great. That's good storytelling. That tells people, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I get it. I can follow along. It was, at the very beginning, April was a little put out about having the turtles with her in the apartment, and there was complaints by her neighbors below her about her doing exercises all the time and stuff. And then when they found out the foot were still active, their immediate reaction was like, okay, we need to leave, April. We got to go. We got to find another place to live. Logical thought process.
Yep.
And Raphael does his own thing, fine, and he gets Kino, who is eager for the Vig, and good idea. And he's a great martial artist too, who also played the Donatello in physically in the first movie.
Who was
by
this?
the way? The guy who played Kino, what's his name?
Ernie Reyes.
Yeah, Ernie Reyes. He was the physical actor for Donatello. And he was so charismatic on set that the producers were like, oh, we like you. We like you so much. You know what? We're going to create a whole character for you in the second movie so we can have you be there. And he never appeared again afterwards. But he was such a delightful character in the second movie. He wasn't annoying. He helps the turtles. He wanted to help. He was a detective in a sense, because he's like, this pizza at the very beginning of the movie was to be for April O'Neil. Right? And then he fought off the robbers at the mall. And then the turtles came in and helped fight off the more robbers. And the turtles left, and they took the pizza, and they left money for Kino. And he's like, oh, April O'Neil orders a lot of pizza. I think she's the link here to these turtles. So he went ahead and used that excuse to find out that the turtles are with April. All smart storytelling. Like, all is simple, by the way. It's not complicated. And the idea of them, of TGRI, which I always want to say TGIF for some reason, but TGRI, wanted to clean up all of their goop and everything. And they find the mutant dandelions, and like, we got to clean this up. We just got to erase everything that's happened in the last 15 years. Really good. And David Warner, fantastic actor. Sorry.
I think the hardest to believe moment of the entire movie is when the turtles think they've won against the Foot in the Vanilla Ice concert, and they're doing the Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, and then you see in the background there's David Warner, like, oh yeah, he's like,
yeah. Okay, like, so here's where it gets a little stupid, right? But I'm gonna give it a pass, because, all right, so all the plot lines all work. It all works. It's silly, it's stupid, but it's solid. And then when they face off with Toka and Razar in the climax, they get thrown into a wall. A wall breaks down, and they get thrown into another wall, and that goes into an off scene or undisclosed like concert location where Vanilla Ice is playing. Yeah. And then Vanilla Ice is like, oh, what's going on? And then there's some beat in the background that starts happening, and then they start doing the ninja rap thing.
Yes, apparently Vanilla Ice is really good under pressure and on the spot.
His blood is ice. So, of course, it's good under pressure.
So he just makes up this hip hop, right on the scene.
Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course,
As he as he as he should. As he should.
yes.
And I remember as a kid, I was delighted at the idea that the Ninja Turtles were coming out of their shells, so to speak, to be heroes of the day, to fight not only Toka and Razar, but then the Foot.
And then all the
and
anti-turtle prejudice in the world.
no. It didn't get that far. Don't get into the 2000s yet. Don't get into the 2000s yet, okay? This is still the 90s. We're still progressive, okay? So, but they got to be able to be heroes in front of the city that they wanted to expose themselves to, so to speak, and that they love. And I found it to be delightful. And the song Ninja Rap, good snapshot in time, super hokey, super stupid, but I give it a pass.
Just remember, only like a year earlier, this entire city did not believe in ghosts.
No,
which
they
was
didn't.
4 years after the time they were surrounded by ghosts and a giant marshmallow man. But nope, they no longer believed in ghosts. But now they believe in turtles.
Right, and that's my thing. So, I'm just my big thing is I give it a pass. It's fine. I enjoyed it because it was actually a well-told story, even though it was hokey and silly. Does that make sense? Does yeah,
Yes.
given my critiques in the past on other works and whatnot, like this is a kids movie. It's not meant to be deep thought, but it teaches lessons. It shows character. I mean, Leonardo shows character. Raphael shows his own character and a different way to
Well,
go about things.
they all have their own.
Michelangelo is a party dude.
Yes. They all have their own distinct personalities. They're generally on display in these movies.
And well done, by the way.
Well, Raphael's always the hothead, and he always is about ready to get himself into trouble. Leonardo tries to maintain calm, and he's the one in charge. He's the one who's kind of the calculated thinker. But he also, Raphael pushes his buttons.
Yeah.
Michelangelo, of course, he's the most immature. He kind of slacks. He's a smart ass. He does impressions. He's a goofball. He's got a big heart. They all do. And Donatello, this version is a little bit nerdier, more intellectual. But he's really portrayed as not cool. Anytime they do their little thing where they yell out random hip buzzwords, and he's always coming up with like random shit, and they're like, no, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Well, it's always a little off. So, and that's fine. And that's fine. And that's good. That's a good continuing comic arc for the character. So
what you do get is that these guys are brothers. Okay. You get that.
Super.
They argue, they smack each other, they tease each other, they have inside jokes with each other. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So I guess the question would be, we haven't reviewed the first film, even though that was kind of the plan, but don't worry, I don't blame you for it.
The pizza commercial threw me off, man.
And that's fine. I immensely enjoyed this film so much as an adult. I loved the jokes. I loved the subtle humor, and basically most of the jokes were DT jokes, by the way. Like situational, wordplay kind of things. Oh shoot, what was the Oh, I got one more. I wrote it down. It was at the beginning during the fight in the mall. Oh, I didn't write it down. Shoot. My bad. I don't have it. I can share it, but I don't know if my computer is going to burn out. So I don't know. But that being said,
Well,
talking?
it
Oh,
was
there you
it
go.
was a it was a it was a fun movie. I won't say it was. It was definitely cheesier though, and you're right. It was not. They clearly had to nerf a lot of things due to these complaints. But I really did. I enjoyed it, and as a kid, I loved this movie. It was we must have watched it a dozen times the first year it came out.
Yeah.
Like, it was just on. I was like, let's watch Turtles too. Okay, and because it was a little sillier, and that generally I think appealed more to the immature tweens that we were, 11-year-olds, and it's like, oh god, and then of course it's they're like literally the intro to this movie is literally 2 minutes straight of people eating pizza
Yeah,
in
that's true.
all walks of life on the street. There's literally a romantic couple. They're like sitting on an edge of a fountain, uh, you know, drinking champagne and kissing, and then diving into a slice the size of their heads. And I mean, there's two dudes sitting on a hansom cab having a slice of pizza. Dude in the top hat. I mean, people are walking across the street with slice of pizza. I mean, if they weren't trying to, if it was all like one brand of pizza, then it would have been, huge. But I mean, it literally was. It was like just a commercial for the food pizza.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wonder. Someone's probably made like how many pizzas do they think were actually in this movie? Had to be in the hundreds of pizzas.
Not a fact that I thought about, but you're probably right. Yeah.
These are all thoughts I made last night, right?
Of course.
And you know
My
what?
thoughts.
We didn't even get Leonardo doing the toss the pizza up in the air and slicing it with his katanas like he did in the first movie. And the
Oh,
one
did
slice
he?
landing upside down on Splinter's head. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was when they only had one pizza back in the day. They had April there to pay for 3 pizzas for everyone. So, Also, I liked that Kino was probably like 17 years old, and the turtles who were mutagenics, but were only 15, and they're like, "Hey, kid, this isn't your fight." Yeah, I get it. Yeah, and they're 15 years old, but they're still talking to Kino as if he's younger, and age is relative in a certain circumstance. But I found this movie again as a jaded adult super delightful, and yeah, fun. It's good for kids. It's great for kids, and it tells a good story. The turtles are looking for meaning, but they also find brotherhood. Again throughout the process. Yeah, like you don't see that stuff. You don't see stuff that is that simple. In movies today, like they would make Raphael probably the bad guy and want to go and join Shredder nowadays or something.
Yeah, like have the one guy want to switch sides.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'd have to deal with that betrayal. And, it would be irredeemable for Raphael to be back in with the clan again. And, it's just something stupid like that.
It is a good film. It's a fun film. It's pretty light. You don't have to like be riveted and listening and like, oh shit, rewinding and making notes and shit like that.
I mean, it's a very simple story, but I definitely appreciated that it was a story and it had a beginning, middle, and end, and it had foreshadowing in a middle and end, and the foreshadowing paid off at the end with Kino. I mean, Kino, had no purpose, and then Raphael used him to infiltrate the Foot, and that was purposeful. And then I didn't realize that at the scene when Kino was being initiated to take all the bells off the mannequin without making a sound, that it was Raphael that came in during the smoke screen and did
You
all
never
that and
saw
put
that?
it in. I vaguely kind of remember that it might have been him, but last night when I rewatched it, I saw that it was definitely Raphael that did that. But growing up, you only see certain things, right? So I thought it was Kino that did all that, and that, I mean, it doesn't destroy Kino's story. I mean, he was still a very able fighter and whatnot. And he looked into training with Master Splinter, but then he got antsy and then he ran away, and he did the right thing by kicking Shredder's last sample, supposedly.
Yep.
Oh, that might be the one loophole though in the whole movie.
It's not a loophole. It rolls to the back, and the only loophole is that Professor Perry grabs it, and I guess he disposes of it.
All right, so how did Shredder turn into Super Shredder?
He had the big bottle, but then he pulled out a little vial.
But didn't that
he
get
was going to
kicked out of
use.
his hand?
No, the big bottle did. He pulled the little one, and he was going to mutate the girl.
Right. But didn't someone grab that or something?
No, the big bottle got kicked out of his hand. The
Well, I know
professor
that.
grabbed it. He had the little bottle, and then they blasted him with the speakers, and then he drank it.
Okay. Huh. I watched that movie sober last night, by the way. So, interesting. I literally was looking at Super Shredder going, wait, how did he do that? All right. Well, fine. We'll go with it. And then, and by the way, the moral of the story being super shredded, i.e.,
don't do steroids.
Don't do steroids. It's a self-destructive behavior. And he didn't touch any of the turtles in the final showdown. He defeated himself by proving his power by knocking out all the support beams of the dock that they were under. And then the dock collapsed on him. Like, don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs, kids. Good story. Good moment, by the way. I decided a little too late that I wanted to do anabolic steroids, and the drug dealers were like, "No, who are you? No, don't do that."
Yeah, because the turtles said no.
Yeah, they did. In 1992. So
yes. So
during that
hear
Sunday
something
special,
funny?
Please.
So you know who was the Super Shredder? Because it's not the same dude.
Oh, tell me.
Just the Super Shredder.
Yeah,
Kevin Nash. Pro wrestler Kevin Nash. Known as Diesel.
Yeah, wasn't he? Wasn't there another pro
7 feet
wrestler
tall.
involved with Toka or Razor?
Let's see.
We don't have a lot of time left, but yeah.
Puppeteers. No, doesn't appear to.
Huh.
If they were, then they were like no one who did really. No one who has a Wikipedia page.
Okay.
But the voice of Toka and Razar is Frank Welker.
Of course, he voices everything.
And he's absolutely fantastic. Love Frank Welker.
He's the most amazing thing ever. So
in the first movie, the Foot Clan included in its members Scott Wolf, Sam Rockwell, and who was the other one? Skeet Ulrich. They were all like, Scott Wolf and Skeet Ulrich were like background dudes, and then you had Sam Rockwell as like the kind of lead thug who was always doing the smokes.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this one, there was an uncredited appearance by Michael Jai White, apparently as a member of the Foot Clan.
Yes, he
So,
was.
yeah, so that I found that to be pretty interesting. And here's the funny thing, right? Because the turtles are technically the stars, but they were all rando voices and puppeteers. The starring card, technically the top billed actor in this movie is Paige Turco. So,
Really?
yep.
Well,
On
good for
screen on
her.
the page. So she's technically the lead star on this. It's her, David Warner, and Ernie Reyes in the top. You know, that it's really the only three people with like real, like live action with real, you know, about anything.
Yeah,
Real
about
screen
anything.
time.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, good for her. She was great. I liked her as April. Also knew that she wasn't the original April, and that's okay.
Mhm.
So, and there we are. Anything else? Anything else before we skedaddle, as my daughter likes to point out?
Well, it was a fun nostalgia blast. It really was. I kind of wish that the pizza commercial was on it. I'm not gonna lie. It's so indelibly linked in my memory. It just really is crazy. But it was a fantastic nostalgia blast. There's a lot of '90s cheese.
Yeah.
It was solid. It was fun. I think the first movie got to be about it, and maybe more fit for who I am as an adult, but this one definitely has a big place in heart because it was like the biggest movie of the year. It was one of the most anticipated sequels in ages, right? I mean, it was everywhere. Turtles 2 was the shit, at least for us, like people around
Yes,
our
it
age.
was. Yes, it was. Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. You?
All right. I absolutely love this movie. I know it was cheesy. I knew it had cartoonish aspects to it, but I feel like it was one of the better storytelling devices of the 20th century. And something that we're not seeing now after the aughts in the 21st century, which is interesting. It's just basic storytelling that makes it work. And yeah, I think it's reflective about how Hollywood is just terrible now. I mean, this is supposed to be a schlock movie, but we're looking at this from a retrospective point, and we like it. It's a good movie. I mean, it's not great,
It's a fun
but it's
movie.
good. It's fun. It's enjoyable, and did what it was supposed to do. So on that note, there you go. So from those sci-fi guys, I am P.S. McKay. We're out there, I guess. I'm sorry, my dog was just scratching at the door.
We are so out there, my friend. But
on that note, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. So long, everybody. We're those sci-fi guys that's out there.
And I'm DT Cavman. We'll see you on the high ground with pizza.
Cowabunga.